How did you get into, or why did you get into discussing politics, black issues, and relationships?
Well, I mean, I just feel that those things are pivotal, very important that people have the knowledge about politics and understand the issues that are taking place with people of color here in this country and across the entire world. I think that knowledge, having that knowledge and understanding the situation that we're in this country and across the world is very, very important for Black people to, get in line and get on code so we can get some of these issues taken care of out here.
And why is it important?
Well, because I feel like if we don't know what's going on, we can't prepare for what's coming. Basically, history has repeated itself, generation after generation.
Yeah.
History has repeated itself, and we're not the knowledge of the history and how to get through these issues that we have isn't something that has been on the forefront. And I'm just trying to bring that information to the forefront.
Give me an example of something that you're concerned about that might repeat itself and blacks need to be aware of.
Well, you can take something as very nationwide as these privatized prisons that have been locking up Black people for decades for profit. This is a very huge issue, something that America is refusing to deal with, something that America is refusing to accept as a reality. And I think that bringing awareness to Black people as to what's going on will give us a standing point, almost like the Colin Kaepernick of the NFL, just bringing that awareness up so that everyone understands the situation that Black people are in, and Black people in particular understand the situation that we're in this country.
And why are Black people being locked up in these private jails or prisons?
Well, it's for profit. I mean, the Black people have been locked up, disproportionately versus other races of people in this country since prisons even, were invented. So I think that in itself is an issue, something that America refuses to accept. I mean, we have the largest prison population in the entire world, but this is the land of the free. And I think that that's something that, the hypocrisy that goes on here in this country is something that everyone needs to be aware of.
Are Black people doing anything to get locked up, or are they just being rounded up?
Of course, would be things that would be deemed as criminal that Black people are being locked up for. And one in particular is these nonviolent marijuana offenses. And you have in other states where white people are making millions of dollars off of marijuana, and you may have a Black man doing 30 years for, just possession of marijuana in another state. And I think that is very, very problematic and very hypocritical in this country.
Is there a state where Black men are getting locked up for 30 years for marijuana, possession of marijuana?
Well, I mean, they're doing a lot. They're doing hard time for nonviolent drug offenses. That's really the main thing here. Whether it be 20 years, 15 years, 10 years, it doesn't really matter how long it is. They're nonviolent drug offenses, whereas in other states, there are white-owned marijuana, whether it be, dispensaries that are making millions of dollars off the same thing that Black men are being locked up for. And I think that's very unfair and very hypocritical in this country.
If Black men were not breaking the law or with the marijuana, by possessing the marijuana, would they be going to jail?
Well, it depends on what type of cops you have. We have just last week, or maybe it was a week before last, the LAPD was caught planting drugs on a Black man. So it just depends on where and who the Black men or Black people are dealing with, because cops have been setting Black people up, as well as you should know. Historically, Black people have been getting set up by cops. So it just depends on, what type of cop you're dealing with at that time.
So how about, so I don't know about that incident, but that could or could not be true, and it could be rare. But would most Black people be going to jail if they did not break the law?
Well, I think that Black people would still find themselves in prison or in jails because laws will be created to criminalize Black activity. You have just take the situation with Eric Garner, who was selling CDs, for God's sakes, and then he gets killed for that. So you have, Black activity has been criminalized historically. At one point, there was against the law for black people to even drink out of a water fountain that had whites only on it. You know, there will be laws put in place to criminalize black activity.
Well, Eric didn't go to jail for selling CDs. He went to jail for resisted arrest. He also went to jail for selling illegal cigarettes. So, but let me ask, would most black people be going to jail if they didn't break the law? Would most be going to jail?
Well, I think, again, like I said, this country will find a way to criminalize black and brown activity, or they'll over-police black and brown areas. Meanwhile, in the suburbs, a white person could, you know, have a body in their trunk and no one's paying them any attention because they're too busy worried about who has weed and who's selling illegal cigarettes down in black neighborhoods.
And so would most black people be going to jail if they didn't break the law?
Again, the over-policing of black areas, it's not like black people are breaking the law more than anybody else. It's the fact that we have a very large police presence in black areas and always have. That's just a historical fact.
Well, the historical fact is that most black people are breaking the law more than any other race in America today. But let me ask once again for this. Would most black people be going to jail if they didn't break the law? Can you give me a yes or no on that?
Yes.
They would be going to jail?
They will find a way to imprison black people.
If they didn't break the law, most black people would still be going to jail.
Yes.
Amazing.
That's the way the system is set up. It's not really that amazing, actually.
And where's your proof that the system is set up that way?
Well, you can just look at the facts. I mean, again, why isn't there a police presence in the white neighborhoods where they have large numbers of serial killers and pedophiles and sexual crimes being committed by white Americans as well? But there is no large presence of police in these white areas. You have right now going on all of these executives in Hollywood sexually harassing all of these women. Well, that's because they haven't had a reason to even worry about being looked at, even when it comes to these types of crimes. Because again, the police are worried about a black man smoking some weed. I think that is very problematic.
And so once again, where's your proof that the system is set up that way, whereas most black people would be going to jail even if they didn't break the law? Where's your proof?
Again, when you're looking for what would be empirical proof, you just have to look at the way the system is set up and what the privatized prison complex is and how it makes its money. That's, to me, the proof should be there in the actuality that they make money. If the prisons are empty, there's no money being made.